Namaskar and a very good morning to all. I, Anshu Bharadwaj, considers this to be my utmost honor to extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to each and every one of you gathered here and all those who have joined us in online mode to the grand celebration of the Foundation Day of ICAR, Indian Agricultural Statistics Research Institute. Lighting a lamp represents the dispelling of darkness and the arrival of light. It symbolizes the pursuit of knowledge, wisdom, and enlightenment. The light from the lamp is seen as a metaphor for the illumination of the mind and the eradication of ignorance. I would now request our esteemed dignitaries to start the function by lighting the lamp. A lamp shining in the darkness represents hope, optimism, and the belief in a brighter future. It can provide a guiding light, offering direction, solace, and inspiration during challenging times. Now we will play the IASRI song. I will now request all our dignitaries to kindly grace the occasion by coming on to the dais. Thank you very much. Now I would request our guest of honor, Dr. R.C. Agarwal, Deputy Director General Agriculture Education ICAR and National Director NAHEP, to welcome our chief guest, Dr. Himanshu Pathak, Secretary there and Director General ICAR, with a bouquet of millets. Now, I would request Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Director IASRI, to welcome our distinguished speaker of 33rd Nehru Memorial Lecture, Dr. Santanu Chaudhary, by the bouquet of millets. It is time to felicitate our chief guest with a shawl. I would request Dr. Rajendra Prasad, our guest of honor. Now it is time to felicitate our chief guest, Dr. Himanshu Pathak, with a shawl. Felicitating our distinguished speaker with a shawl. And now felicitating our dear Deputy Director General, Dr. R.C. Agarwal, with the shawl. Today marks a significant milestone in the history of our esteemed research institute. It is a day of reflection, gratitude and celebration as we commemorate the founding of this magnificent organization, which has been at the forefront of groundbreaking research and innovation in agriculture statistics and informatics for the last glorious 68 years. Our journey began with a vision of creating an institution that would push the boundaries of knowledge, foster collaboration, and make a lasting impact. Over the years, we have witnessed remarkable achievements, transformative discoveries, and countless contributions in the fields of agricultural statistics and informatics. I would now call upon Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Director ICAR-IASRI, to deliver his welcome address and present the brief of the activities undertaken by the Institute.
A very good morning to all of you. Greetings to all of us on Foundation Day of the Institute. We have completed 93 years in the service of the nation, and if we call Institutehood Day, this is 64 years we have completed, and this is 65th one. We are celebrating this day on a very auspicious day, that is Guru Purnima. Therefore, in the beginning, I would like to bow down to all my teachers and gurus on this day. Honorable Dr. Himanshu Pathak ji, Secretary there and Director General ICAR, who belongs to an illustrious clan of researchers and academicians that makes us confident that, sir, under your able guidance, rich and vast experience, we will accomplish greater things together. We are energized to have you at the Institute campus and look forward to the growth of the subject of statistical sciences and the Institute as you navigate us towards further success. Honorable Professor Santanu Chaudhary ji, Director, Indian Institute of Technology, Jodhpur, and distinguished speaker for 33rd Nehru Memorial Lecture on Artificial Intelligence. Our distinguished alumnus, Honorable Dr. R.C. Agarwal ji, DDG Agriculture Education, and National Director, NHEP ICAR, and guest of honor today's function, my teachers, senior statisticians, Professor Raheja, colleagues, and from statistics fraternity, ladies and gentlemen, sitting in this hall and those who are joined online. At the outset, on behalf of the ICR Indian Agricultural Statistics Research Institute family and on my personal behalf, I extend a very warm welcome to each one of you for your gracious presence in the celebrations of annual day of the Institute. Our mandate is research, education and training in agricultural statistics, computer application in agriculture and agricultural bioinformatics, advisory consultancy services, methodological support, computational solutions to National Agriculture Research and Education System and National Agricultural Statistics System. Sir, as I have said that it is a premier institute of relevance in statistical sciences. When I say statistical sciences, we include three disciplines: statistics, computer applications and bioinformatics, and their judicious fusion in agricultural sciences for enriching the quality of agriculture research and informed policy decision making. We started 1930 as a statistical section in the then Imperial Council of Agriculture Research and completing 93 years now. In 1965, installation of ICR's first computing facility, IBM 1620 data processing system. We are completing 58 years in computer application, and National Agricultural Bioinformatics Grid was established in 2010, so we are completing 13 years in agricultural bioinformatics. And we will be completing our century and 70th years of institutehood in 1929. We are catering to the needs of three systems, as I said: National Agricultural Research and Education System, National Agricultural Statistics System, and e-governance activities of ICR. And along with this, simultaneously prove to peers on basic research in statistical sciences. Our deliverables include statistical methodologies, techniques, tools to support agricultural research and development in the country, developing and maintaining portals, information systems, mobile apps, and to add computational power and digital solutions for agricultural research and development in the country. Accelerating agricultural omics research in India, trained manpower in terms of MSc and PhD students in statistical sciences, and knowledge updating of research fraternity through customized training programs, and maintaining and supporting e-governance services in ICR. So let me begin with our human resource development. We started providing MSc and PhD degree programs in 1964 when we had an MOU with PG School IRI, now the Graduate School IRI. Before that, we had collaboration with Indian Statistical Institute for MStat program, where first year students used to study at ISI Calcutta, and second year odd and even number of students were divided into ISI Calcutta and ISRI. We are and by now we have 834 alumni in agricultural statistics, computer application and bioinformatics, which includes 584 MSc students and 250 PhD students. At present, we have 131 students, which includes 42 MSc and 89 PhD. We are sought after for the customized in-service training programs, which includes summer, winter school, short training programs, Center of Advanced Faculty Trainings, sponsored national and international training programs, including those sponsored by FAO, World Bank, Afro-Asian Rural Development Organization, and so on and so forth. So during last 3 years, we have 2021 we conducted 80 programs and 11,665 participants were there. 2022 we conducted 2,034 programs and 2,564 participants were there. 2023 by now we have conducted 10 with 444 participants. Our average per scientist for last 2 years is around 2.5 plus as research papers in national and international peer-reviewed journals. I am happy to share that in last 3 years, we have published in 10 plus impact factor journals, which includes Acta Pharmaceutica, Sinica, Renewable and Sustainable Energy Reviews, Briefing in Bioinformatics 2, Journal of Hazardous Materials, and Journal of Criminal Production. 5 of our papers are as Institute as collaborating, and this year in January we are able to publish one where Institute is the lead, and authors will be certificate of appreciation will be given today. By now we have received 88 copyrights, which include 76 as lead and 12 as collaborator, and 19 out of them are recent. During recent years, we have started 15 new projects, externally funded projects of amounting to 118 crores, which includes projects from NHEP, NASF, DST, DBT, DHD, and NetSpawn. We had conducted several recent events, which includes mainstreaming agriculture education and school education. In June 2022, International Conference on Blended Learning System for Higher Education in Agriculture, webinars as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, workshop on statistical meta-analysis, and virtual international symposium on data-driven agriculture and natural resource management opportunities and challenges. Sir, the faculty and alumni of the Institute has brought laurel to the Institute. The first one is Gold Icon Award in Open Data Championship category, which we received for ICAR Research Data Management Initiative from METI, Government of India. Then 5 of our faculty and alumni have received National Award in Statistics for outstanding contribution in statistics in memory of Professor Piyush Kwatme. 2 have received National Award in Statistics for Young Statistician in the honor of Professor C.R. Rao. 3 of our alumni have received Rafi Ahmed Kidwai Award, 2 of them during last 3 years. We had 1 ICAR National Professor, 3 ICAR National Fellows, 2 INSA Fellows, 13 Fellows from National Academy of Agricultural Sciences, G.P. Chatterjee Memorial Award, Om Prakash Basin Award for Science and Technology, Cochrane Henson Prize 2009 for International Association. We had Bharat Ratna Dr. C. Subramaniam Award for Teachers given by ICAR. For 2 faculty got this award. From IRI Best Teacher Award, 8 of our faculty members got. Our students got 6 of our students got Jawaharlal Nehru Award for PhD dissertation. 2 of our alumni got NAS Recognition Award, MS Randhawa Award, NAS Associates, NAS Young Scientist, and 5 of our young scientists got ICAR Lal Bahadur Shastri Award and many more awards. Our alumni are occupying very senior position in both government, academia, and private sector, which includes 2 of our faculty got member in National Statistical Commission, Director General Secretary Level Government of India in Defence and State Services, Director General NSSO at MOSPI, Secretary General Association of Indian Universities, Deputy Director General Agricultural Education. Sir, we welcome you as our distinguished alumnus. 3 Vice Chancellors, Additional Director General Indian Council of Medical Research, a rare opportunity got by a statistician, which is position normally being occupied by the doctors, MBBS doctors. Additional Director General CSO, MOSPI, Additional Secretary University Guards Commission, National Director NHEP, Registrar General Protection of Plant Protection Authority, Pro Vice Chancellor University of Akron, USA, Chief of Biostatistics and Bioinformatics Branch, National Institute of Child Health and Human Development, USA, Professor and Chair of University of Pittsburgh, Department of Biostatistics and Graduate School of Public Health, Fellow of American Statistical Association, Professor, Department of Biomedical Informatics, Senior Biometrician, Consultant Biometrician in CG Centers. We had 5 Assistant Director Generals in the Council and 3 have occupied their position during last 3 years. And Dr. Neil Rai and Dr. Seema Jaggi are present on the occasion. We welcome them. ICAR, then our students have gone to ASRB, agriculture universities, general universities, Indian Statistical Services, private sector, MNC, and entrepreneurs. We had long list of linkages and collaboration, including CG centers, international with FAO, India, FAO, Laos, Bill Melinda Gates Foundation, ICRISAT Excellence in Breeding, ICARDA, World Agroforestry Center, ERI, Rice Wheat Consortium for Indo-Gangetic Plains, CIMIT, Civil Systems Initiative for South Asia, all ICAR institutes, all SAUs, all ACRIPs and KVKs, DST, MOSPI, DBT, Digital India Corporation, Department of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare, Department of Fisheries and Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying, Ministry of Water Resources, MNCFC, Space Application Center Ahmedabad, Northeastern Space Application Center Shillong, IIT Delhi, ICFRI Dehradun, Ministry of Food Processing and Technology, NETSCON, and many more. Sir, just to give a brief of the achievements made by this institute. The institute has developed efficient and cost-effective design of experiments, analysis of experiment data, and their innovative applications for both single-factor and multi-factor experiments with respect to crop improvement programs, breeding trials, food processing, post-harvest storage and value addition, crop sequence, integrated farming system research, agroforestry, designs for multi-stage trials, experiments in which it is difficult to change the levels of the factors, farmer participatory research trials for resource conservation technology, experiments with mixtures, and we are contributing a lot towards the ACRIPS, which includes integrated farming system research, both on station and on farm, soil test, crop response, long-term fertilizer experiments, vegetable crops, sorghum, small millets, maize, oil seeds, weed management, and many more. Towards the design of experiments, Professor M.S. Swaminathan in 2006 gave a message that it is the effective use of tools of statistical design of experiments that paved the way for green revolution, and design of experiments have helped in generation of agricultural technologies. We have also worked on estimation of genetic parameters from military dairy farm data, construction of selection indices, procedures of gene-to interactions, progeny testing and sire evaluation, statistical genomics, procedure for estimation of genetic parameters, and procedure for studying genotype environment and QTL environment interactions. In statistical modeling and forecasting, our model developed based on weather indices is being used in Fasal for IMD. Forewarning models for aphid in mustard, powdery mildew in mango are being adopted by Directorate of Rapeseed and Mustard Research, Bharatpur, and Central Institute of Subtropical Horticulture, Lucknow. Sampling methodologies which have been developed have widely been used through National Agricultural Statistics System in the country, as well as Afro-Asian countries, which includes crop yield estimation through CC, being used in general crop estimation surveys, and widely adopted in African and Latin American countries. Estimation of harvest and post-harvest losses, 3 national level surveys has been conducted using this methodology. Estimation of post-harvest losses for horticulture crops, fruits and vegetables, livestock and fish. They have been field tested in Mexico, Zambia and Nepal, Thailand, and accepted by FAO. Estimation of crop area, yield, production under mixed repeated continuous cropping field tested in Indonesia, Rwanda and Jamaica. Agriculture census and generating estimates for parameters of interest in Laos. Alternative methodology for estimation of area and production of horticulture crops adopted in Haryana. Integrated methodology for estimation of multiple crop area under different crops using remote sensing adopted in Meghalaya, Tripura and northeastern states. Integrated sample surveys for livestock products, fruits and vegetable surveys, fish catch from both marine and land sources. Estimation of cost crop cultivation for major crops adopted in 19 states. Estimation of cotton production major adopted in 9 major cotton growing states, and these have potential applications in ACRIP on residues, ergonomics, energy in agriculture and agro-based industries, small area estimation techniques, skewed data, spatial non-stationarity and others we are working on, and integration of technologies and crop cutting experiments for providing estimates at Gram Panchayat level under Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. The institute is contributing. Regarding our computer-led DSC started in 1965 with IBM 1620 data processing system. Then we moved on to Bros B4700 mainframe computer in 1977, added with 14 terminals in 1983, then PCs and servers, Asoka supercomputing hub for omics in agriculture in 2013, data center in 14, and disaster recovery center and artificial intelligence in 2020. Sir, we have developed 70 applications in last 7-8 years in-house, which has 21 million plus views and 1.5 lakh plus active users are there, which includes National Biocomputing Portal where 100 plus bioinformatic databases and web servers have been developed, 27 mobile apps where 74,000 active installs are there, and total installs include around 4 lakh. We have developed 50 plus R packages, and each of them have been downloaded more than 10,000 times each. And out of these 25 in last 3 years, our stakeholders include students, scientists, government officials and farmers. And among the major portals which are there, KVK portal and KVK mobile app, Krishi portal, education portal, e-Krishi Shiksha, MHEP website. Then Kisan Sarthi, yesterday we have achieved the milestone, 1 crore farmers have registered under Kisan Sarthi, 2.07 lakh villages have been covered. Our academic management system is being implemented in 60 agriculture universities. ICAR-IASRI Oasis we developed in 2021 has been useful for recruitment of RMP and semi-RMP positions. KCC Chakshu we started on the Kisan call center data, 35 million plus queries from KCC data have been downloaded, and insights and alerts have been generated. E-list web portal and app has been developed, which is being implemented by DHD across India. Artificial intelligence disease identification system for crops covers 50 diseases of 19 crops, cereals, commercial crops, vegetable and fruits of 1.5 lakh images in natural background. Kisan 2.0, an aggregator mobile app which includes 300 plus agriculture related apps with interface in 11 languages. And I am happy to share that this app was covered in Employment News article appeared on December 31st to January 6. As I have said that for our ICT applications, ICAR received Gold Icon Award in Open Data Championship category. Then Krishi portal has been referred as good practice for ICAR DARE as Central Data Repository, and total score for DARE is 4.43 at present. Out of 74 government departments, we rank 14. Kisan 2.0 I have said, and we have shared data with Kisan Suvidha app, Open Government Data Platform, Darpan Dashboard, and many more. And we have developed several web resources for e-learning and e-advisory services. Several other ICT applications and portals have been developed. I will not be reading all those, but list is long. Then we have established virtual classrooms in 74 agriculture industries in Agri-Diksha, establishment of AR/VR experience labs to enhance learning experience for students in all 74 industries. Blended learning platform was launched in March 2023. These are the apps which we have developed. I will not be reading each one of them. Then just to share about artificial intelligence based disease identification system for crops. This is, one can upload the image in a visual background, and this identifies the disease of 50 crops, 50 diseases of 19 crops, and also provides a solution to it. It is AI-enabled disease identification within fraction of seconds, expert consultations facility via text, video chat, real-time reporting system for disease infestation across India. Sir, we have launched this, but once the traffic starts coming, we need to upgrade and upscale our infrastructure, particularly GPU servers, so as this works in time. KCC Chaksu, which is our collected historically aggregated knowledge-based system with hypertext language. As I said, 35 million farmers, nationwide insights it provides on state-wise number of farmers phone calls, number of queries, crop-wise, year-wise, month-wise, sector-wise, category-wise, query type-wise. I'm happy to say that from this we are able to find out on which type of questions are being asked. Plant protection questions are asked the most, and most of the queries are raised between 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. in the evening. In terms of queries asked, top states are UP, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, MP. Top crops are paddy and wheat. Top questions, weather, plant protection, government schemes, fertilizer use and availability, and so on and so forth. Currently on this data, we are working on AI-based early agricultural epidemics detection and disease, pest, weed, hotspot region detection system. Integrated sample survey solution for livestock, which has 3 modules: sample selection module, data entry and analysis module, and GIS map module, has been used by Department of Animal Husbandry Pan India with 22,000 enumerators, 8,000 plus supervisors, 730 district nodal officers. Through this surveyed 33,000 commercial poultry farms, 752 slaughterhouses for 47,000 villages, urban wards with 80 lakh households and enterprises. Data center was established for e-governance in 2014. Disaster Recovery Center was added in 2020. At present, we have 24,000 plus email users on this. ICR email is being used as single sign-on on using LDAP authentication in various applications like e-office, EHRMS, Sparrow, PMS, FUMS, TMIS, Krishi, ARMS hosted on DC. And I'm happy to say that more than 410 applications are from ICR Institutes are hosted on this. Then Ashoka Supercomputing Hub. We have already a big leap in terms of computational biology and developed several analytical tools, databases, web servers. Prominent one is identification of variety based on DNA signatures, and then 100 plus microsatellite databases, transcriptome databases, software tools and web servers, algorithms and methodologies. Web SpikeNet, Yield SpikeNet, AgriIntel, these we have worked recently, and we are working to the best of our capabilities towards establishment of a Center of Excellence in Artificial Intelligence in Agriculture, Advisory Consultancy Center for National Agriculture Research and Education System, South Asia and Africa in Statistical Sciences, Diploma, Certificate Programs in Statistical Sciences on Data Science, Artificial Intelligence, Cloud Computing, Big Data, and so on. Particularly, we wish that by the end of this year, at least 2 of the certificate programs will be available on blended learning platform. These are some of our activities. We had a sparkling past, brilliant present, brighter prospects for future. Let us continue our efforts in the service of mankind through basic research in innovative applications and human resource development in statistical sciences. While we are optimistic, we take nothing for granted. This is, however, only possible through tireless efforts, dedication and commitment towards schools and guidance from our seniors. Look forward to the years ahead with smiling faces, full of enthusiasm and confidence, looking for valuable inputs for taking forward the research, teaching and training program of the Institute. And my request to ISRI family is, let's arise, awake and stop not till the goal is reached. Miles to go before we sleep, miles to go before we sleep. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for drawing an elaborative sketch of the numerous accomplishments of the Institute that has already set the stage from a promising future for all of us. ISRI has been bringing out a number of publications every year in various forms. I would now request our esteemed guest on the dais to release the publication for this year. The first publication is ARDB, the Agriculture Data Book 2023, Information pertaining to agriculture research, education and related aspects scattered over various published
May I request Dr. Prachi to join?
and unpublished sources are being compiled in Agriculture Research Data Book through joint efforts of ICAR-IASRI and Indian Council of Agriculture Research. The first edition of Agriculture Research Data Book was published in 1996. This year it is with 26 edition in the series, divided into 10 sections containing 180 tables, provides information of natural resources, agriculture inputs, animal husbandry, dairying, fisheries, horticulture, productivity, agriculture engineering, export-import, place of India in world agriculture and human resources. The second publication is a technical bulletin on evaluation of comprehensive scheme for cost of cultivation of principal crops.
May I request Dr. Tawfiq to join?
IASRI conducted an evaluation study on a national level ongoing scheme, comprehensive scheme for cost of cultivation of principal crops, which is in operation in 19 states and union territories of the country and covers 25 major crops under CS Division of Directorate of Economics and Statistics, Department of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Government of India, and assess the effectiveness and usefulness of this scheme as well as possible further extension of this scheme in the next plan period. This technical bulletin comprises all the findings of the evaluation study conducted at ISRI and will be helpful for improvement of CS scheme in future. The third publication to be released is Technical Bulletin on Evaluation and Improvement of Agricultural Statistics Scheme. IASRI conducted another evaluation study of a national level ongoing scheme evaluation of improvement of agriculture statistics scheme, which is in operation in 25 states and union territories of the country under ASI Division of DES, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Government of India, and assess the effectiveness and usefulness of this scheme as well as possible further extension of this scheme in the next plan period. The last publication to be released is the brochure of augmented reality and virtual reality. Augmented reality is a technology that makes things more interesting by adding digital information to what we see in the real world. It combines real and virtual things together. Virtual reality immerses users in a simulated digital world. Isolating them for reality, users can interact with the virtual world using specialized devices like headsets and controllers, creating a sense of presence. Under NHET project component 2 and RAIS, ISRI has established AR/VR experience labs in the agriculture university across the country. Thank you, sir. Now it is my humble request to our guest of honor to give his remarks. So in the appreciation of the research work undertaken at IASRI, the certificate of appreciation is to be awarded to Dr. Upendra Kumar Pradhan for publishing the research paper in a Journal of Impact Factor more than 10. So I would request Dr. Pradhan. Congratulations to Dr. Pradhan and his team. I would now request our guest of honor to give his remarks.
Most Honorable Secretary and DG ICAR, Dr. Himanshu Pathak ji, Dr. Chaudhary, Director IIT Jodhpur, my colleague Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Director NIAP, Dr. Bithal, Dr. Raja Saab, all our senior colleagues, all students, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I want to congratulate the entire fraternity for this Foundation Day. Very important day because today we also have this Guru Purnima. This institute is Guru for many great stalwarts. So I think it's a great coincidence that today on the Foundation Day we have this Guru Purnima also. So first of all, sir, thank you very much for giving us time, Honorable DG ICAR and Secretary for this, and Dr. Chaudhary, who on a very short notice. When Dr. Prasad talked to me that we should give this lecture, but I just remembered because I requested you for giving a lecture on this 75 lecture series, the book which we have just given to you. And in 75 lecture series, they were all stalwarts, if you know, policy, yoga, meditation, research, every topic we covered on those subjects. So he was one of those stalwarts. So I just thought that there cannot be any better person who can cover all these new topics, artificial intelligence, and because they are already doing all these things. So sir, first of all, I just want to say that this institute has the immense contribution. If you see right from beginning, from the time of Dr. Mahanovis, Dr. Subhatne, Dr. Panse, and all, Dr. Daroa Singh, so this institute's contribution are still in operation. You see, starting from the crop cutting experiments. Crop cutting experiment which was given by this institute, still the forecast, the estimations are being done using that old technique. After that, lot of new techniques, lot of softwares, and lot of other contributions are there which are in operation in almost I can say all the ministries, departments, like we can see from the presentation which Dr. Prasad made during his welcome address. So that is the contribution of this institute. And this institute, I can again compliment the peers, I can again compliment all the directors, all the deputy director generals, DGs, that this institute has always changed its mandate according to the requirement of the time. Initially, it was only for the statistics, development of the methodology, estimates, forecast, and many such things. But then, way back in 1970s, it also adopted the computers, the only computer in the whole system, I can say in the whole country, which this institute used to have, Burroughs system. And that time, this institute was again came into limelight because anybody, anywhere, if they want to do any kind of analysis, they have to come at least for 6 months to this institute, even for a small analysis. Because there was no resource, there was so much pressure on this institute. And then this institute again changed its mandate. It came into not only this MSc, PhD in this computer science, but also it changed to bioinformatics, and then this separate division was created, and now they are coming forward for artificial intelligence. They are coming forward for virtual reality, augmented reality, and many more things, which we have already implemented in the universities. And today, I'm not exaggerating, this institute is the heart of the whole ICAR. Sir, just 4 days back or 5 days back, when Dr. Rajendra Prasad just called me late evening, that sir, there is some problem in the air conditioning, and maybe we have to shut down these services because the temperature is rising. So I don't know whether the temperature was rising, how much it rose, but our temperature was rising. Dr. Prasad's temperature was, I think, Saturday. He rushed to the institute, and I was also not feeling well, because we cannot run the whole system if your e-office is closed, if your Sparrow is closed, because it's the time for filling these APRs. If your the other systems, nobody can go to foreign if the FEMS is closed. So there are many systems. So this institute is now the heart of the whole system. If it beats, then the whole system can beat. So that is the challenge which has been met by this institute, and I have really full compliments on this Foundation Day for the whole ICAR. And people say that everything which counts may not be counted, and everything which is counted may not count. But this institute is counted and is also in the counts, because you see everywhere, anybody, they just know this institute. If you talk to any department, you need not to introduce that what is IASRI. We lost some colleagues who were very promising scientists during this COVID period, especially Dr. Hukam Chandra, many more colleagues, and they had their contribution at the international level. I think he was one of the most recognized scientists in the FAO, but unfortunately in the very young age we lost him. And but still I see many persons who are in demand by many institutes, including our director, Dr. Prasad. He has been consultant to many international organizations, CG centers, and he used to go, I know many CG centers. He was most demanded for this. Our computer applications, now DAFW, sir, they have asked for this RAVE program. The change of, again we are depending upon this institute. When I thought for this NEHEP, the biggest contribution in NEHEP for the change of this entire platform, the digital reform revolution in the agricultural universities has come only through this institute. I should compliment the Division of Computer Science. I should compliment the entire IT team, our ADG, ICT, everybody who has a lot of contributions for this. All SAUs, again, I include not only the ICR, but the SAUs also can run only if this institute runs. So they will also stop working if this institute runs, because AMS is running in all the institutes. Because this smart class, Agri-Diksha portal, everything is running. So they also stop. And now we are propagating that even the private universities should also make use of our lectures. Like on Agri-Diksha portal, we have more than 4,000, I think, lectures, which are one of the best lectures, which any student, anywhere, if they feel like they don't have the best teacher in that particular topic, they can download, they can utilize. So anybody, whether public, private, or even if somebody is not studying, they also want to listen, they can listen anytime, n number of times, those lectures, because they are downloadable, all those lectures. And the latest intervention has been, sir, we are now going in a very big way for this LMS, or we call it as a blended learning platform, through which now we are going to target all the students on their, according to their need. So individual students' need we can know. A teacher can upload his assignments, his lectures, his other important points before taking the lecture, and he can assess that what is the requirement, at what level he should start. So it's not that every time you have to start from the same level.
So you can assess the students, even after taking class, you can just again give the assignments online, and the written or the objective type, whatever you want to do. And the students can utilize your assignments n number of times, download, do any kind of thing. You can have so many things are there, and that is again going to revolutionize, I think, the whole learning process, which has to be really according to the requirement of the time, has to be need based. It's not that whatever I want to teach, I have to always teach. What is your requirement, that I have to first assess, and then only I have to teach all the students. So all those things are coming only through these institutes. So we see, if you see in the field of bioinformatics, I think the kind of publications and kind of network project which has been created by this institute, that is again affecting all the assemblies. Whether it's a fisheries, whether it's a animal science, any science you see. So again, the genomic research depends upon the data, and data is stored here, analyzed here. It is taught in all the institutes that how to analyze your data. So everything. So that's why I again reaffirm that this institute is the heart of all the NARS system, not only the ICAR system, but the complete National Agricultural Research System, education system, extension system. And I was really pleased to know, Dr. Prasad, when you gave me a message that the Kisan Sarthi has reached a figure of 1 crore,
1 crore.
Just 2 days back, yesterday's. So just on the eve of Foundation Day, having 1 crore farmers connected on a platform which is being hosted here. And let us pray that by the next Foundation Day, maybe it doubles. So our all team members, our DG, our Honorable Minister, everybody needs, our Honorable Prime Minister. I think the direction came from there that Kisan Sarthi has to be there. And our all colleagues, including Dr. Anil, who is sitting here, many persons who are involved in this development. So this has really a great contribution. And my request is, as our Secretary there, DG ICAR, is asking, 1 scientist, 1 product. So let us see that every scientist counts. As I was saying, every scientist must count. It's not that only 10%, 15%, 20% are only contributing for this. So let us see, we'll have a detailed discussion someday that how 1 scientist, 1 product can be in the form of some technologies, it can be in the form of some methodologies, algorithms, whatever is there. So that really let us pledge on this Foundation Day that how really we can go ahead with that. And we must also formulate the strategies like on the Foundation Day on 16th July, we are going to have some presentations that how we can really generate the revenue. And that also let us take a place that how best we can increase our revenue more and more, how we can have more partnerships, public-private partnerships, and how really we can go ahead with more and more models where we can say that we can use this as the DG ICAR has recently got it approved by the GB, the corpus fund. And in the corpus fund, 70% we can use. So if you generate more funds, you can use more funds for your own institute, for many development works, for other research works, and many avenues are there. So let us introspect on those aspects also, so that really we can say. And I'll not take much time because we have to listen to Honorable DG ICAR and then Dr. Chaudhary. So once again, I compliment each one of you, and I give my my compliments for this group Purnima also. And thanks to all dignitaries for joining us on this important day, and thanks to Dr. Prasad for inviting us on this Foundation Day. Thank you all. Wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing the history, shedding the light on the contribution and the importance of IASRI. Your calling this institute to be the heart of whole Naresh system has filled us all with pride and honor and has motivated us to do our best to retain this position forever. Now, I am delighted to invite our chief guest, Dr. Himanshu Pathak, Secretary Dare and DG ICAR, to kindly deliver the presidential address.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Dr. Agrawal, Dr. Chaudhary, Dr. Prasad. Then, of course, Dr. Raheja, Dr. Rai, Madam, Dr. Birthal, all the heads of the divisions of this institute, scientists, faculties, technical staff, administrative staff, supporting staff, students, those who have joined online. So first of all, my congratulations to each and every one of you. This is a great day for your institute and for any institute. Foundation Day is really, really a great day. As I said, that this is like our birthday. And on birthday, it is really special. Everybody looks forward for this day. So on this day, I congratulate you. And I also thank, because the institute has got very long history. 93 years and then 64, 65 years. So my homage and respect to all those who founded, nurtured and developed this great institute. Because of their hard work, because of their contributions, because of their dedication and sincerity, all of us today are here, and all the good works which is being done are because of their initiation. So my homage and respect to each and every one of those. On Foundation Day, generally we should do, and we generally do, 2 or 3 things. One is, of course, it is a very pleasant day, very great day, so exchange our pleasantry, congratulations, and that's all. Second one is, of course, what we have done so far. What Dr. Prasad presented very nicely, very elaborately, and my compliments to all of those who have been associated in all those great activities. And third one is what we should do now. What Dr. Agrawal tried to mention some of those. And if we can really do these 3 things, may not be today, but then within this particular week, so that will be a real kind of celebration of Foundation Day. And as it is also Guru Purnima Day today, so let me also congratulate all of you, wishing you all happy Guru Purnima. Why I am saying this, I was also a student of this institute. I have done maybe 2 courses or 3 courses actually from ISRI. And I got all A grades. So you cannot say that I was a very poor student in statistics. I got all the A grades in one of our courses, where I think Sima Madam and Dr. Prasad were also there. Dr. Rai, I don't know whether, but then there were very few A grades got in that course, particularly those who came from other than statistics. And I was one of those. So you can count me and give me good marks for that. But anyway, that's the lighter side. Now there is, of course, no doubt, there is absolutely no doubt that this institute has contributed immensely. And Dr. Agrawal is very right when he said that this institute is now the heart of whole NARS system, not only ICAR but also universities, and this is very true actually. Just few weeks back, somebody is a statistician from this institute but working in some university. He said ICAR में अभी तो statistics का ही बलबला चल रहा है. Out of 28 ADGs, if 5 are from this one, or you can calculate the percentage. मुझे नहीं लगता और किसी इंस्टीट्यूट का इतना ज्यादा शेयर कम से कम एडीजी में होगा, और 8 एडीजी में 1 एडीजी तो आपका है. So in that way, the numbers are quite satisfying. Quite satisfying. मतलब आप लोगों ने तो आईसीआर के ऊपर कब्जा कर ही चुके हैं. हो रहा है, कंट्रीब्यूट भी कर रहे हैं. अच्छा, चलो कब्जा वर्ड अच्छा नहीं लगा इनको सुनने में. Anyway, let me tell you, some of my classmates are also here. Two of them are ADGs, one is director, and so that really gives me a lot of pleasure and lot of rather happiness, and also kind of pride and privilege that so many of you are contributing in a so big way for the whole council, not only for this institute, but for whole Parishad and also for whole country. So my compliments again. You know, as I said, contributions are enormous. But then expectations are also quite high, very high. और एक्सपेक्टेशन जनरली उन्हीं से होता है जो डिलीवर करते हैं. जो डिलीवर नहीं करते उनसे कोई एक्सपेक्टेशन भी बहुत ज्यादा नहीं रखते. सो वी रियली एक्सपेक्ट लॉट बिकॉज दिस कंट्री इज नाउ, इट इज नॉट टुडे, maybe last 2-3 decades I would say, is going in a totally different gear and totally different mode. Now we talk of digital agriculture. And now it is possible within 1 or 2 years, each and every plot of this country, not whole farm, each and every plot, whatever the size of that plot could be. Plot size could be 1 meter by 10 meter, and of course it could be 1 acre, it could be maybe 1 hectare or so. Each and every plot of this country is going to be digitized, mapped, and all the properties, soil as well as land use planning, everything is going to be there, and then you can imagine what kind of data and what kind of information we are going to have. We are in that process, and within just next 2 years, that exercise will be complete. The whole crop planning exercise is also going on. Now each and every farmer is directly or indirectly connected to the central system. When with direct benefit transfer, DBT, in one stroke, more than 10,000 crores farmers get connected. Really connected. Money, whether it is 3,000 or 6,000, whatever it is, in 6 months or 3 months, depending upon different states, in one stroke, the money goes to their account. Now this is information. Each and everybody's number are now there in a system. And again, in one stroke, all of you can get one message if government wants. Now this is the scale. And if this is the scale, then you can imagine what kind of data and what kind of information, what kind of system we should have. So it is no more in my time or your time that few data points and then in Excel sheet and then you do some kind of calculation and I come out and say, I am master of statistics. Because I could do some analysis using 1 or 2 designs and I can run Excel in very good way with all those functions and maybe access and so on. No. That is no more the day. This has gone into a totally different scale. And in that scale, this institute has to perform. For agriculture research, for education, for extension, reaching to farmers in that big scale. So you can imagine the responsibility of this institute. Whenever a country progresses, it becomes more and more dependent on data, quality data, correct data, authenticated data. And whenever these terms comes, quality data, people look to us. People look to ICAR. And of course, when they talk of ICAR, they certainly mean ISRI, because this is the institute where we have got the data. So in many very high level meetings also, see, there are several agencies which have got data now. And in most of the cases, their data count. For example, how much is now Kharif area under rice being sown? They have got another system. How much is production first estimate, second, third, and final estimate. Again, there is another one. How much is export import? They go for FIDA. How much is soil data and soil fertility, all of these, they go to FAO data. So here, the point is, when they go for FAO data, DSC data, FIDA data, and all other kinds of data, why don't they come for ISRI data? And they always say that your data are more authenticate because you have got the reach. Just as I'll give you one example, just other day, clean plant program, Government of India budget announcement. So it's a high level meeting. So the first question was how much or how many plant saplings of different crops, horticultural crops for example, we need. Now this is a legitimate question. Without this number, how can we make a plan? Now people do not have this data. So then somebody will say maybe 5 crore, 10 crore. But then they asked ICAR, what is your estimate? Do you know, or do we really know how much is the requirement of these saplings of different crops in different parts of the country? We do not know. Now if you do not know, then there is, of course, you cannot make a plan. Because if you really want to manage a system, you have to first measure the system. If you cannot measure it, then there is no question of managing it. And that is also true for other crops. Even for rice, how much amount of breeder seed in real terms we need? Some invent comes to us. And as per the invent, we ask different universities, institute, that you produce this much. But what is the actual requirement? Where that requirement? How much of that is being used? How much of that is being spoiled? All these details, somehow, we do not have. But people are expecting these data from us. Now, the other day we are making a plan, Dr. Bithal is here, that this Amrit Kal, from now to 2047, we want that India should be a developed country and Indian agriculture should be developed agriculture. Now again for that you need data. When you say that your food production has to be increased, how much? 500 million tons, 600 million tons, something. We talk of nutrition security should be there, but then again, how much? What kind of nutrition you are talking about? How much amount of biofortified rice, how much amount of biofortified vegetable, and all these. So these are some of the broader questions now we are being confronted with. And for this kind of information, it is only this institute which will be able to provide the information. And then some other aspects on which we have worked, but probably we have not been able to communicate our message to the other authorities. Always we compare what is the productivity of Indian agriculture of a particular crop compared to the global average and then the highest producing country. Now somehow you also know that productivity of two countries cannot be compared because of different climate, because of different elevation, because of different soil, because of different conditions. So as such comparison is not probably the right kind of comparison. But then those finer aspects of any data need to be brought into and communicated in a right way to the policy makers. And again the responsibility comes to this particular institute. Another very easy example I shall give for rice. We say the productivity of rice in China is 7 tons per hectare. And we say how much is for India? We say it is 2.5 tons per hectare. Now this is not the right number actually. China reports rice in terms of paddy. We report rice in terms of de-husked rice. If we convert this 2.8 tons per hectare to paddy, then the value becomes 3.9 or 4 tons per hectare. So when you have to compare, you compare 4 with 6 or 7, whatever. It's not 7 or 6.5 and then take you 2.8 or 2.6. Then the gaps become. But then who will communicate this message? So whenever you compare, oh, there is a lot of gap between that country and this country. But that gap is not this much actually. In many areas, the productivity of rice in this country is more or less same or even higher. Say for example, Punjab, Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh, some parts of Andhra Pradesh and so on. For rice, more or less similar to what is the productivity of China or any other rice producing countries. But then these are the messages which we need to communicate so that overall assessment should be right. We say informed decision. So that decision must be well informed and that information must come out and then be communicated in a right perspective to the right person. What I was trying to say is that the challenges for data and statistics are really enormous. And we have to come out and address these challenges. If data go wrong, everything, all calculations, everything goes wrong. We cannot make anything out of a wrong data. So generating, of course, you are not directly related to generating data, except some cases. But then there is also the responsibility of this institute to guide how to generate correct data, and then how to process that data, how to communicate that data, and how to take it forward so that at the national level or international level, we will be in a position to come out with informed decision, to make good plan, to make good policy, and then taking Indian agriculture into what we call a developed agriculture. And then only we will be able to come with the developed country in this Amrit Kal, what Government of India has made a very big plan. But these are just food for thought. Once again, I congratulate each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart, because I understand the contributions of this institute. I understand how dedicatedly all of you are working. When Dr. Prasad listed all of those, starting from arms and sparrow and all kinds of things, I know how important these are. And Dr. Agrawal is absolutely right, that if all of these things go wrong, even for a day or two, then probably the whole system is going to be a standstill, which we cannot afford. And many more things are coming. These are only a part of the iceberg, rather, I would say. In next 2-3 years, all of these things are going to be totally digital. May not be a single paper will be used anywhere. Not a single data will be kept in physical files. Everything will be there online or some other system. And your institute has got that pivotal role of developing, maintaining, processing, communicating, compiling all of this information so that the whole system, ICAR, NARS and so on, can really run smoothly. So I wish all of you great success. Congratulations once again for this Foundation Day. Compliments for the very good work which you have been doing over the years. And of course, we look forward for a very bright and more active, more contributing years to come. And from the council side, I can assure you, whatever will be required, we shall try our best to provide all the resources, human resources and all, so that the institute can function. Wish you all the best. Thank you and congratulations. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, sir. Your address has provided us with new perspective, deepened our understanding, and motivated us to strive for excellence. The responsibility that comes with the expectations, we would definitely work towards and make all efforts to come true to your expectations. Your wisdom and inspiration will continue to resonate within us, and we are truly privileged to have you here with us and learn from you. Thank you very much, sir. Now, Coming to the end of the first session, I would now request Dr. Sudeep to come and propose the formal vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Anshu. Respected Honorable Dr. Himanshu Pathak, Secretary Dear and Director General ICR, Dr. R.C. Agrawal, Deputy Director General Agriculture Education and National Director NAHAP, Dr. Shantanu Chaudhary, Director IIT Jodhpur, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, former directors, head of the division, scientists, technical persons, staff of the ISRI and other organizations. So in only few words, as said, I like to thank DG sir and all the dignitaries on the dais and all of you for coming together and celebrating this function. Thank you very much.
Before we start with the 33rd Nehru Memorial Lecture, we will take a short break. I request all of you to reassemble here after 5 minutes. Accomplishment of a notable individual. It serves as a platform for sharing knowledge, inspiring others, and fostering a sense of community. This year, we have a distinguished speaker, Dr. Santanu Chaudhary, Director, Indian Institute of Technology, Jodhpur, with us to deliver the 33rd Nehru Memorial Lecture on the topic Artificial Intelligence in Agriculture. I would now request our Director, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, to kindly welcome the speaker and introduce him.
Well, friends, good morning again. And I have the proud privilege to introduce the great personality, renowned academician, able administrator, Professor Shantanu Chaudhary ji, who will be delivering 33rd Nehru Memorial Lecture. Presently, he is Director, Indian Institute of Technology, Jodhpur, since December 10, 2018. He belongs to Department of Agriculture Engineering, IIT Delhi, Electrical Engineering. He did his BTech, Electronics and Electrical Communication Engineering in 1984, and PhD in Computer Science and Engineering degree from IIT Kharagpur in 1989. He joined as faculty in the Department of Electrical Engineering, IIT Delhi in 1992, served as Dean Undergraduate Studies and Schlumberger Chair Professor at IIT Delhi, September 2019 to November 2021. He also served as Director of ICAR-IASRI Pilani during 2016 to 18. And presently he is Director IIT Jodhpur. His work has brought many laurels, which includes recipient of Distinguished Alumnus Award from IIT Kharagpur, Fellow of Indian National Academy of Engineers and National Academy of Sciences, Fellow of International Association Pattern Recognition. He received INSA Young Scientist Award in 1993. Received Advanced Computing and Communication Society Center for Development and Advanced Computing Award for its research contribution in 2012. His research interests include embedded systems, computer vision, computational intelligence, machine learning, image and video processing, multimedia systems, robotics, and many more. He's a keen researcher, a thorough academician, has more than 300 publications in peer-reviewed journals and conference proceedings with H-index of 37, I-10 index of 138. To his credit, he has 15 patents and 4 authored and edited books. He has delivered a lecture in our 75 lecture series of ICAR-IASRI Amrit Mahotsav on AI and IoT, enabling sustainable digital agriculture. And when I was talking to Dr. Sau, he told me that Dr. Chaudhary is instrumental in bringing the phenomics facility as well. Sir, we welcome you to this institute, to ICAR, and for 33rd Memorial Lecture, we request you to deliver your discourse on artificial intelligence in agriculture. Sir.
Namaskar. I think, first of all, greetings to all of you on the Guru Purnima occasion. I think all of us are teachers and all of us are students. I think all through our life we are students, and so it's a day to actually pay our respect and to our gurus who have taught us all through our life. And also let me thank Professor Prasad to really invite me to deliver this lecture, Jawaharlal Nehru Memorial Lecture. And it's a great privilege for me to deliver a lecture named after our first Prime Minister. In fact, if you look into it, the many of our scientific infrastructure today, the research infrastructure today that we have, that came when Jawaharlal Nehru was Prime Minister, and many of those are as an outcome of his initiatives. So it's also a privilege for me to talk about AI in agriculture, which is actually coming in a big way globally, not just in India, and in his memory on a special day of Guru Purnima. I hope I'm audible at the back. Yeah. Hmm? इस पे तो स्लाइड शो में चलेगी वो माइक्रोफोन में कुछ प्रॉब्लम आ रहा है बीच में आ रहे हैं Okay, as it being set up, let me just talk without the slides. The point is that today, why are we talking about AI in the space of agriculture? And in fact, Secretary Baird and DG very clearly pointed out that today the whole demand and requirement is for data, and the quality data, reliable data, and data with complete confidence in terms of storage. The other part which also comes with data is protection of data. So therefore, the entire data infrastructure is actually will define the future policy, prosperity, and growth of a nation. And if we talk about the water, oil as the basic necessity for growth, today data has become actually a necessity for growth. Therefore, a country which has got the best quality data in terms of all its attributes, properties, and origin can really drive the world in terms of technology. And for driving that, actually, if you look into it, the key point which has come up is the tools. In fact, all of you already, you have a cloud running, which is serving across the country. And so the entire big data framework, which is very, very essential today, is actually a backbone to AI. So why I picked up AI as a topic because it's actually interfaces with the big data infrastructure with which you are working with. And in fact, today, if you look into it, in many cases, the whole database technology has also changed. But instead of looking into relational data and the structured data representation, if you look at this MongoDB and this kind of a big data database systems, which can actually store unstructured data, I can have a variety of information in the database at a given point in time. And that is a value because it's not just the numeric data that I can work with. I can also work with symbolic data. I can work with different kinds of data types. In fact, in terms of even documents, at the same time with the numeric data for generating insights and analytics, which is being enabled by AI. So therefore, diversity of the data, that is really the today's challenge. And to get reliable data, we need to have diversity associated with the data and not just the numerical data. So for example, that point which was being talked about, the rice being measured in terms of paddy crop or the grains. Now, both the data can be actually stored in a very unstructured database, which is today MongoDB is an example. And all of these enables us to look at, from an AI perspective, the validity of the data as well as their associations of different physical observables. So therefore, AI has to be there to work with that kind of a database to generate insights. Because if I have billions of data items, and in terms of, if we talk in terms of petabytes, even beyond that of the data, it's not possible humanly to consume the data or use tools, which is through an interactive process, we can use them. We have to go into a different level of algorithms, and that's exactly the big data challenge. And AI interfaces with that big data challenge, although it doesn't really address the big data issues per se. But when we are looking at it from a statistical institute point of view, there's also a huge open issue. How do you actually map all of these computation in the context of a big data storage system? So therefore, that's the key point why we are looking at this whole point. Let's look at today's key AI technologies. Is there any question?
No.
In terms of technologies, say machine learning, deep learning, all of us know, and actually that is being used also for that disease identification through the app on the basis of that more than 50,000 images against the natural background. But today, a major AI initiative is, and technology breakthrough is generative AI. And generative AI is actually changing. In fact, I just gave the example of ChatGPT-4. I think when reading newspaper reports, you yourself might be trying it out. Your young son, daughters must be doing things with that and coming to you. But ChatGPT actually is a revolutionary step in the AI tools coming to the public space. And yeah.
Just let me talk.
Yeah, I shall maybe to the end I shall try to answer. So ChatGPT is actually use of generative AI. And what it does, actually the whole challenge is because we have to understand that very well. Because tomorrow's all kind of services that we are really talking about today on the app will move on to ChatGPT platform. And if we do not make an initiative in that direction, actually what will happen, all the multinationals will come in, take your data and put it across similar platforms and make money out of it. Okay, so this is also something I think it's very, very important for a lab like ICAR-IASRI to look at and understand. The problem of ChatGPT is ChatGPT makes use of a huge data and the context. The meaning of a word on the basis of which it generates an answer, the meaning of a word is generated on the basis of the context. And it's a linguistic context which is gathered over the textual data available on the web. It doesn't get into the semantics. I think this is the fundamental problem I think all of us should understand of this kind of a big data and the AI with the big data. It doesn't understand the semantics of that word. It just looks at the semantics of the word with reference to the context. Semantics comes from the grounding of that word. If I look at a rose or if I look at paddy, I have with my concept, what does paddy really mean? Okay, but it's not paddy in the context of other words with respect to which it's occurring. So therefore, if you now ask for an advice, in many cases, you get hallucinations. Because Indian data or Indian contexts are not very well represented on the web. And it's actually searching on the web and generating the advices. Now, these technology we need to master. And it's not very difficult to master. But then you have to actually put in certain constraints, put into a closed domain, and moved into closed domain. You can even now use a generative technology for doing agriculture advisory in any Indian language. And I think this is actually a very interesting problem to look at for all of us, because this can change the pace of service delivery in the country if we can bring in the service deliveries in the Indian languages and with reference to queries. Today, most of the chatbots are fixed query based. But this can be an open query base. It has to have a background knowledge. So whatever you are doing in terms of your disease diagnosis, that whole thing can be put onto image-based ChatGPT platform. And that can actually enhance the entire power. In fact, the point you're telling that it should be expanded, I mean, this is true, should be done, but should be done aligned with what is today's state of the art AI. The other interesting thing is probabilistic causal reasoning. We have seen enough of machine learning, and machine learning has developed, will continue to develop. Generative AI is also a consequence of machine learning, but we all understand the causal reasoning. And the fundamental problem of AI today, I shall just come to it, is lack of explainability. We typically talk about AI, but do we trust AI? The trustability of AI is a big global issue today. And when we actually take these to the services, and if I work with any end user, so say, for example, a medical practitioner, if I'm trying to provide an advice through AI to a medical practitioner, and if I try to provide an advice even to a farmer, the question is, it is always AI can work up to a certain percentage of accuracy. That may be 98% by 99%. But when that 2% error you use for 1 million queries, just look at the probability of the mistakes which can occur on field. And if somebody takes up that advice and takes a step and then he suffers, could become responsible of that suffering. In fact, we go gung-ho about AI, but I'm just talking about something slightly from a different perspective, because these are the emerging issues of AI, and we should be very careful about them when we are talking about AI. So therefore, the question is, can I provide an explanation of why I am giving this advice? If I say that, therefore, this explainability is something very, very important. Bias is, bias has been talked about in a big way. All of us know bias. So bias is also with reference to the data. When we talk about, say, we are trained with huge volume of data, is there a regional bias? Now that bias have to be also statistically analyzed. And in fact, in statistics, there are various techniques to know whether distribution is biased or not. And so therefore, when we are using it for training, we need to address these questions. Because if the data is biased, my recommendations will also can become biased. And the robustness, what I said, is stable in the sense that safe and secure and not vulnerable to tampering or compromising the data they're trained on. So in fact, that is exactly the big challenge today. I may train a network, I can have the weights, but these weights can be manipulated on the database. And this can be a cyber attack. And that can actually destroy various kinds of, even the confidence into the system. If there is a kind of a commercial competitor to me, he might try to infiltrate and without my knowledge can force my system to give advices which are not correct advice. So my credibility in the market would go down substantially. Now, these are all possibilities. Okay, as AI is improving, people are learning to play with it. So therefore, explainability is important. As I talked about, that I should have a ability to explain. The other important is, I think there has been also reference to the drift in the discussions, that is non-stationarity over space of the statistical data. Now, non-stationarity of the distribution is a fact. If you see, because of the climate change, any kind of agricultural data that you will get will suffer from non-stationarity of the distribution. The distribution with respect to which I have trained for an advisory, it is about the past few years, but now because of the climate change, the lots of things, the temperature profile, the rainfall, lots of things do change. When it changes, my classifier actually fails. Now, non-stationarity of the data is a very, very fundamental problem when we are using variety of sensors for doing any kind of predictions. Even in case of medical applications, economic applications, agricultural applications, in terms of even standard computer vision based applications. Okay. So why I'm telling is these are the open issues, I think, which is very, very important for us to address when we are talking about the agricultural point. Then also it becomes the integrity, that is security, reproducibility, explainability, and consistency. Because these are today, what is important is that when you really bring out a service, a commercial organization will go through all of these, the rigorous analysis and testing. And that is something very, very important, because without that, credibility of any service that we build on AI really doesn't get established. In fact, if you look at for these globally, in fact, FDI, when they approve any of the medical AI applications, even European Union also talked about those standards. Those standards are pretty rigorous. And those rigorous standards is what is essential for us to look at and adopt when we are moving into AI. In medical space, although the AI which is being used in many cases, it's a kind of augmenting the doctor's capability, because finally we say the decision is of the doctor. Okay, these are the suggestions which is coming to the doctor, but final decision will be his experience, and he can actually, making use of AI, can refer to large number of cases which himself has not been exposed to. But when the AI decision is given to the end user, there has to be many more protections built into it. But today, with the data and other things coming in, these are so these are some of the things to be looked at. And as was being talked about, this digitalization is today a major thing today. It's not digital, it's not digitization, but digitalization. Now, what is the difference between, I think all of you know, but I'm just repeating for completeness sake. Digitalization is digitization of the processes. Digitization is just digital form of the data, digital form of an observation. But digitization is actually complete processes. So when we talk about data-driven technologies for managing resources in highly optimized, individualized, and intelligent and anticipatory fashion, so therefore the whole pipeline is becoming digital. And that's the key point in terms of digital architecture today. And in many cases, we would like to have operations in real time in a hyper-connected way driven by data. What does mean hyper-connected way? Because it's not just a one-point data source is coming to me. If I have multiple sensors, multiple agencies making observations, so I should be connected to all these agencies, and that connectedness, a hyper-connectivity, gives me a data ecosystem which is much more richer, and we should be in a position to use that ecosystem. So different fields, crops and animals, diversity accurately managed to their own optimal prescriptions. So I cannot repeat that. So the point is that if I have to really address the non-stationarity, I have to be location specific in terms of my advice. As the locational factors can vary from point to point. So this cannot be an universal practice per se. So digital agriculture AI tools deals in anticipatory and adaptable way to changes such as those caused by climate change. And in fact, globally, AI applications in terms of any of these issues, climate change is becoming a major factor to look at. Because your different pests which comes in at different points of time, there is a shift of the time also because of the temperature change, because of the humidity changes. And therefore, how do you take care of those things? Because therefore, this is a problem which requires therefore the data collection. So what is being talked about is the huge volume of data which is available, and data through multiple ways, IoT, internet, simple mobile-based sensing, then these phenomics kind of experiments, the setups that we have, everything put together, we need to look at this data. And this data is a key for AI. And therefore, real data and good data is something which is very, very important. Now, and it's stuck. Hmm. Somebody is just. That was it. Skill level. Because that PPT was on.
No.
Huh? To share करना है is it? हाँ. Okay. So I shall try to talk about briefly this computer vision for phenotyping, addition agriculture analysis and causal linking for agricultural recommendation. I shall not go into details in the background. I shall just touch upon them. So if you look into it, this plant phenotyping, in fact, the entire infrastructure which has been created at ICAR-IASRI, and we have worked with it and setting it up, the imaging thing, it provides us a tool for plant phenotyping. There are hundreds of AI applications. Phenotyping is one such application. And in case of phenotyping, refers to obtaining the observable characteristics or traits jointly affected by their genotypes and the environment, and is formed during plant growth and development from the dynamic interaction between genetic background and the physical world in which plant develop. Now, why I use the word explicitly is because this phenotyping is also function of your change of climate. And therefore, these entire observations and measurements that has to be done, that has to be factored in with reference to these kind of drifts which can come in. Although most of the work which has been happening, in fact, is in the image space, and this is the basic flow. If you look into it, that image acquisition, processing, segmentation, feature extraction, and classification. Now, these features that we use extract, that becomes impacted by the changes in the climate. So the point is what we can do at one point, the other point is may not be always usable. Okay, so I shall talk about not just a classification, I shall show that how things can happen, and using simply a leaf-based phenotyping. There can be root-based phenotyping, there can be lots of other options. I'm not going into that. I'm just picking up, if you say leaf-based phenotyping, the plant leaves are the primary source of various phenotyping traits and leaf area, conductance, as well as compactness, as well as counting the bar. There are a number of applications in which they're there. And if you see physically, that whole setup is talking about the different features of the leaves that are to be used for the purpose of phenotyping. So now, therefore, one challenge is what? One challenge is how do we extract these features using AI? And that area of AI is what is we talk about is computer visions that we use. So take for example, this one, that detection and segmentation of microstructures of such as stomata cells require robust algorithms to handle low contrast between the background and the cells and varying degree of occlusion due to presence of other microobjects. And this is when we take a stomata and actually go through this microscopic imaging and the data that we see that requires various kinds of processing issues. I'm not going into this problem solving, I'm just putting it across the challenge of computer vision problems which comes in this case. Look into another example. This is in terms of leaves. Okay. So if you see the leaves and the nature of the leaves, and the disease manifestation happens in most of the cases for the leaves. So how do you segment the leaves? How do you look at them? and even and looking at multi-level leaf structures, not only at the leaf level, but also at a canopy level. That gives different phenotypical measurements that we can do. And what is very, very important and interesting is the challenges of deep learning based techniques, because you need data. In many cases, we really don't have the data. That becomes a challenge, and that requires also you to develop new technologies or new approaches where you can work with a certain set of data and you can keep on improving the system as you get more and more data. And multi-level is in terms of planned architectures. So for example, if I have planned architectures, how to deal with it. Now, all of these, many of these have been done and is being done in a manual systems. But the key point which comes in here also, that how to use computer vision, that is, this is a kind of a cartoon representation of various kinds of imaging setups that we can have and get the data. But now these are more in terms of a lab level data and lab level formulations. But the key point is to look into what we do in the field. And in the field also, what is today advantage is, in many of these cases, what we're showing as multiple cameras around the cameras, our mobile can actually provide those multiple cameras. And today's computer vision techniques based on AI has become powered enough to take care of uncalibrated camera and different orientation and create the correspondences for doing computer vision based analysis. Some of the examples, see, deep learning, I think I'm skipping this. I think is must be known for many, because if you see a very simple way, why really that AI came up is because I could have multiple layers of neural networks. And then you've heard of the neural networks, and because of the ReLU and computation, I can use multiple layers, and that's a standard convolutional networks, which makes use of convolution as a basic signal processing function. Now, why I wanted to show this is that how these different disciplines come together. We're talking of AI, but basic input is raw data. Raw data in this case are the images. We use signal processing, which is essentially a convolution operator. We also learn how to do convolutions through deep learning. So the core classical algorithms themselves have changed because of AI. And that is what is impacting these all of us. And that's why those other concerns which has emerged, we need to address very significantly. So look at one of these deep learning applications that based on these aerial images. In fact, this work has been done with help of Dr. Sahu and his drones and other things. And I wanted to just show these results. Now, if you see the pipeline is, this is an aerial image. I need to actually segment out the leaf. And based on segmentation of the leaf, I need to look at the leaf area. So red areas are the leaf. And if there is a disease area, the disease area has also to be segmented and identified. Now, this is essentially the recognition part. There is also, it's essentially the computer vision part. There is also an inferencing part following this. So if you look into it, the approach-wise, I just look into the architecture. If you see, it's a complex deep learning architecture. And in this architecture, there is the region networks, which actually proposes the regions, which identify the regions, which are leaves in this case. And based on the leaves that you detect, so therefore there are multiple stages. As we say, deep learning is what? Layers of convolutions. You apply one convolution after one convolution and so on and so forth. So overall, the complete pipeline of convolutions will give me the leaf areas in the image. But at the same time, if I start taking features from each of the convolution layer, I can use that to recognize a disease region on the leaf area. So it's a kind of a multitasking learning framework. Now, why I'm showing is that here also there's a huge opportunity of innovative algorithm development for identification of disease areas when you're looking at from an aerial image just for the distribution of the crop field. So if you see that different data and different identifications which come up and see the cleanliness of which the cascaded results gives me. Because this clarity is what is very, very important. So that this is something which is a step towards the actual diagnosis of the disease. And this is if you see on a general background using a drone image. And so you can do a big statistical study based on this pipeline. So then microscopic plant level analysis, this is kind of a canopy architecture, because canopy architecture, see, the point is, one is disease segmentation and disease identification I had looked at. Another example is the canopy level architecture is also a reflection of the plant stress and various other factors which impact plants' growth. And how do you analyze quantitatively canopy? I think this is actually a major challenge, a quantitative analysis of canopy. What we did was we used a deep learning based framework, and and this data was collected from the phenomics facility here. The Rabi crops, and at various points in times and seasons, this data was collected. And I shall not go into the details of it. I shall just try to explain what we have actually done. If you see, we did what is called from these data, what is called 3D from motion. So if I take a camera and around the one plant, I move it around, I get 3D, I get multiple images which represent my motion. So since I get multiple views, I can actually extract what is called point cloud representation of a plant. The point cloud captures the canopy geometry. Just consider that there is a plant, and a plant has been represented by 3D points in the 3D space. So if plant has been represented by 3D points in the 3D space, the distribution of the points really represents the canopy structure of a plant. And therefore, the point comes up is that if I can create, there are algorithms, very sophisticated algorithms, the structure from motion algorithms. Based on that, we create, this is a pre-trained model. With that, we create the 3D plant models in terms of point clouds. Once we get the point clouds, okay, I shall not get into, once we get the point clouds, I'm skipping this, I think. So we get the point clouds. Once we get the 3D point cloud, this 3D point cloud is on the basis of, so let's look into this way. Our eyes are stereoscopic eyes. Because of the two images, we get the 3D. Now, if I take images all around, I can create that stereoscopy multi-image reconstruction to get the point cloud. And this point cloud has a challenge in terms of matching. So deep learning actually solves the matching problem in a better way. When I do that, because I can see the depth, because there is a match between the images and there is a lateral shift. The lateral shift actually is indicator of a depth of a point. So if I get multiple images and I do that, so I get the lateral shift, the depth of points which are in 3D space. Once I get the depth of the points in the 3D space, what happens is I can create a 3D point cloud representation. And from the 3D point cloud, I can extract features. There are point nets which are based on that. I don't need to create a 3D model, but point cloud itself, I can extract the features. And based on extraction of those features, I can evaluate the quality of the canopy, the characteristics of the canopy. And that with reference to standard classification schemes, we can do it. But the challenge is what? That in such a case, that if we do an isolated plant analysis, how do I create a 3D model to look at it? In most of the cases, we work with 2D images, but 3D is actually gives me the much better understanding of the canopy architecture and the effect of the stress on the plant. So, so this part I shall skip. Then the other, what is interesting thing is that we are looking at is how to look at desert farming. And we did some experiments being in IIT Jodhpur, closer to Thar. We did some experiments and essentially looking into the different factors. If you see that there are different issues in terms of heat restraint species, and then these are also have sensors for heat. Based on that, they have the characteristics. And what is very interesting is that soil crust, which actually represents a kind of a ecosystem to support the plants to growth. And there are number of organisms which are in the plant crust. Okay, so if you see, this is the crust, and we actually did a bioprospecting of the crust, and using metagenomics, we were trying to look at a genomic, a kind of a bioinformatic model to suggest how an ecosystem of a plant can be created for its growth in a desert biosystem, in an arid ecosystem. So that's a very interesting problem. In fact, we did analysis of some of these trees, which are khejri, say for example, is a typical desert tree. And looking into the structure of its root and this biota around that, using bioinformatics as well as this kind of physical measurements, we try to create a model for actually a desert phenomics. Because that's also a very interesting point to look at, because most of the cases we create situation in a synthetic scenarios. But when you move to the field, the understanding of the field is much richer, because we found that this soil crust and the metagenomics of the elements of the soil crust is actually has a very distinct characteristics in terms of supporting the desert plants. The last part I would like to touch upon is, I think 5 minutes I have, is a causal inference. Why? Because all of these which I talked about is a very traditional AI things, okay, in terms of analysis. And I have flagged that what are the addresses problems to be addressed. And I've used, as I told you, I have picked up application. One is computer vision applications that have illustrated how computer vision can be used. We said that we shall just try to address the arid zone cultivation, and there metagenomics becomes a tool to be used with AI and other observations. So there are a number of tools. The question is, AI is a collection of tools. And when we look at AI in agriculture, we have to pick up the tools which are most appropriate for the problem at hand. And I gave example also the advisory as a ChatGPT. The last thing that I'm looking at is what is called causal inference. In fact, today, this is a major work which is happening in ML is also what is called causal learning. Why causal learning? Because it's very important for me to establish what I am suggesting, why I am suggesting. Take, for example, a problem for agricultural recommendations. The causal inference with observational data has been the subject of recent work in diverse disciplines, in fact, including agriculture. And digital agricultural recommendations in many cases lack experimental validations, because those are predictions. Predictions are based on the past data, and that drift, which we actually talk about, can have an impact on it. And what happens is that an observational causal, therefore, we need to look at these recommendations going beyond standard deep learning. So an observational causal inference framework can fill this gap by emulating the experiment we would have liked to do. Okay, that means if I am doing a recommendation, can I do an experiment and after that do a recommendation, which is not practical? But can I create a reasoning model for doing those kind of things? Okay, so look at this, that what we are talking about, that an example here is the problem that we look at is, which is a very common problem in agriculture, is recommendation for sowing time is critical for many crops. And it's a function of soil temperature, soil moisture, ambient temperature during the first day after sowing. And these play a crucial role in proper germination and emergence, and ultimately determine the yield and its quality. Now we need and we use a multi-parametric forecast model. Now these forecast models in many cases are simple time series kind of predictions. We use a model, and today typical even with learning framework also, we create a predictive learning models. Now this predictive learning models is just, if you look into it, is just statistical correlation. But statistical correlations does not take care of the possible drifts or causation. There's a very distinct difference between correlation and causation. So therefore, when we are suggesting a swing time with respect to various parameters, we are actually going into the physics of the problem. Actually, there is a physics of the problem which suggests that this should be the correct swing time. And the physics of the problem means there has to be a causal model and not just correlation model. So therefore, the whole point is that you are moving from a correlational model to a causal model to a more sophisticated inferencing and prediction framework. So if you look into it, this there has been this work on this is a basic framework. I've tried to explain the basic framework. This framework is, let's say, I encode a farm system in the form of a directed acyclic graph. So far we have seen data, input data, output data, but now we're getting into a graph-based representation of farming itself. I said that digitalization is digitization of the processes. So if you look at the farming, the graph-based representation is digitalization of the farming process. And when we do that, what we say that the directed edges in a graph A to B indicates causation from A to B. A causes B. And in the sense that changing the value of A and holding everything else constant will change the value of B. Now, this is something very, very important to observe. That changing everything, keeping everything else constant, if I change A, B will change. So this is an assumption of working with, okay? And this is, and therefore what we do is, we define an operator in that graph, which is say a do operator. So what, and we represent it that the probability of y to take a value small y, when I take an action that is assigned small t to t. So therefore it denotes the probability that the observable y would have a value y, given that we intervene on the system by setting the value of a variable t to t. So now these observables are therefore, the point is I therefore convert the graph into an active inferencing network where these interventions can actually be applied and see what could be the possible action if I have the causal network operating. So what do we say that variable t, of which we aim to estimate the effect as treatment, and the variable y, which we want to quantify the impact of t on as outcome. The parents of node are its direct causes, while a parent of both the treatment and outcome is referred to as common cause or confounder. So therefore, there are confounder nodes and direct dependent nodes. Because if I keep my confounders constant, then I can estimate the effect of do operator much better way. But the moment I start using the confounder impacts the effect of treatment. Now that model is something which is a very important causal model to look at, make the causal inferencing practical to the situations and scenarios which emerge. A very simple representation is that average treatment effect, that is, it's an expected value when I assign t to a positive and it's minus when I assign t to 0. That means when I'm taking an action vis-a-vis when I'm not taking an action. So it's an average treatment expectation, treatment effect. So why this treatment effect? If I can estimate of the treatment effect, then I can do kind of a simulated experiments on the basis of the causal network that I have. So this is something, is just take an example of this causal graph. This is a causal graph where if you look into it, we have looked at number of variables which are linked with the crop swing. And there are multiple nodes and there are dependents. Now, once we have dependents, there are, if you look into it, there are nodes which are which has a direct impact, the nodes which does not have a direct impact, and there is a relationship between them. So on this node, if I now start taking these interventional effects, so therefore if I have this effect, and if I apply a value t, then what will be the impact in this different observations in the farm? So this whole causal graph, therefore I'm representing the farm system as a causal graph. The inputs are to the nodes based on my observations, and suggestions are what actions I can take. Based on these actions that I can take, I can get an expected value of the impact. That ATE is an expected value of impact depending on taking action and not taking action. So therefore, when I make a recommendation, I can say that with reference to these parameters, I am suggesting this recommendation. Therefore, we also enlist the do actions. Okay, so therefore the picture is much more clearer and detailed when it is being given to an end user to use. So it's not a blind situation. So therefore, there are many, therefore there's an explanation with respect to which I'm giving the data. So the process is, the ATA we aim to estimate captures the difference between what the average yield would have been if we intervened and force farmers to follow the recommendation by sowing on a favorable day, and the average yield if we force them to defy the recommendation by sowing on an unfavorable day. This is actually, I have mapped what? The do action as a swing. Okay, and based on that, I'm representing the farming as a graph. I've tried to estimate what would happen if you would not have swayed. So therefore, there is a very clear-cut picture in terms of the data that we have and also of the impact of executions. But here it is simpler because what I have not considered, what is called counterfactuals. Okay, any reasoning that we do is also with reference to counterfactuals. Counterfactuals are what it is what if reasoning. In fact, this is actually an indicator of what if reasoning, that if I take this action, what will happen? If I don't take this action, what will happen? But with reference to confounding variables also, we can take this what if reasoning and create a kind of a framework with counterfactuals. And in fact, this is where the whole AI is moving today when we talk about the gap between causality and learning. So how do we evaluate the outcome? See, we have already got the learning. We see the outcome. That I suggest that there is a disease. But how do we evaluate the outcome? Because there are wild environments, unknown environments for which I am actually providing the service. So there is a high dimensional data which is there, highly noisy, and little prior knowledge because model specification and confounding structures of that place is always not known. So therefore we need to have what is called understanding versus prediction. Typical deep learning based models is what is predictions. And therefore depth versus scale and performance is fundamental today. And therefore the challenge is how to bridge the gap between causality and stable learning. Because stable learning, why stable learning comes in? Because we know the moment there's a drift, you refer to the locational drift, but data drift, change in distributions actually make your learning unstable. So how do you deal with that? That is how the causality and unstable learning is to be looked at. Causality very clearly says that this is a noise, this is not to be looked at. But a learning model does not distinguish a noise in the data and makes inference making use of the noise. And hence, in many cases, it is unstable and gives random errors when you use it without taking this understanding in fact. So therefore, there has been lots of work which has been done that structural causal models. In fact, structural causal model, the graphical model that I've shown, I have hand constructed that model. But now there are machine learning algorithms to construct such models. Okay. And then inferencing on those models, and these are structural causal models, a very mathematical representation, and which the core of the model is DAG, directional graph. The graph that I have shown, the directional association graph, is a key element of the structural causal model. And we can learn the structural causal models. And there are various algorithms and techniques which are being used there. And once we can learn the structural causal models, we can get into also, there is also with reference to that, I have not touched that, there is a counterfactual causal model. You can also learn the counterfactual causal models, you can learn the structural causal models and create an inferencing system which actually simulates. It's a thought experiment. Just look at it, do it, and looking into what if experiments are actually thought experiments. And that gives me a very powerful machine learning paradigm, which makes observations, but not observations without explanations. It makes observations taking into account the actions, what the consequence of your actions would be, and what will be also impact of confounding variables. And in fact, that's where today's digital agriculture has to move in. And in fact, internationally also, there has been lots of recommendation work as is being done in that space. And I think today what we have done on the basis of the phenomics, computer vision, and those kind of data, we need to put across into kind of a causal structural model and use that for a variety of reasoning experiments. In fact, in medical domain, it has been done because say for example, when you look at Alzheimer's, there are not enough data for different Alzheimer cases, but actually using the causal model and making use of generative AI, they've created those cases. And with reference to those cases, they've compared actual patient data to make a conclusions which is logically reasoned. I think that's where the AI is moving today. And we, with the data, with the big data which is available, really need to have this kind of a strong support for agriculture system with AI. We need to really invest our time, effort, and energy to causal models based on data and deliver services based on causal models, as well as the generative models, which actually makes use of language technology in a big way. This is my conclusion. Thank you. So AI has different aspects which can influence agricultural practices. I'm very, very happy to answer questions.
I think we can discuss it during tea time.
Okay. I think there are a few questions.
Yes, we can discuss the tea time, please.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir, for this excellent presentation and an elaborate description on AI, what AI can do for agriculture and the application, the various applications. Now, I would request our director, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, to felicitate our speaker with the memento.
They don't vote. Yes, sir.
I would like to take this opportunity to felicitate and appreciate the efforts done by the team of Dr. Upendra Kumar Pradhan to felicitate the other authors of the research paper PDB-PRED, a novel computational model for discovery of DNA binding proteins in plants, which has been published in the briefings in bioinformatics. And it has, this journal has an impact factor of 13.99. So we had already facilitated the lead, Dr. Upendra Kumar Pradhan. The other authors are Dr. Praveen Kumar Meher, Dr. Sanchita Naha, Dr. Somen Paul, with this, we come to the end of this session and the celebration of the annual day. Now, I would request our director to say a few words.
First, let us thank our honored speaker for an outstanding, excellent, the difficult topic in a very simple way, explaining the narrow memorial lecture on AI in agriculture. Let's give him a big hand. Sir, you have basically told what AI is, what are its advantages, where we need caution, and that is where we need to be more careful. Particularly as globally people are talking that now we need to have a framework for AI use. But rightly said that AI can facilitate the experts in taking decision wisely and with those situations which they are not exposed to. But when we go to the end user, direct solution for AI, we have to be more careful in designing the AI tools. And more importantly, as always is said, that context of the problem is more important than the data or the tool. Therefore, we have to select, he has emphasized that we have to select the tool from a box that is important to the context of the problem. Generative AI is the future, and we all need to work in that direction. And I'm sure that the young colleagues sitting in this hall have been motivated, as all of us are, with this talk. And we look forward to many more applications of AI in agriculture for the benefit of the experts and for benefit of the farming community. And we look forward to your guidance and collaboration in our future endeavors. Thank you very much. And let's give him a big hand once more.
So with this, we come to the end of this annual day celebrations. Now, I would like to thank each one of you who have been gathered here and made it a success and be a part of the celebrations. Now, we have some refreshments outside. So with a big thanks to each one of you, we would request you to kindly come for refreshments outside. Thank you, sir. Samir?
ये जो चीज है ना और